actually happened. I'd like to thank my brothers here, Ooze, Big Ooze, Ooze-IL, my brother Benyamin, my partner. I know this took like a year and a half, but we actually got here, and this is our first episode. So we want to make sure that we start things off right. And what's on your mind today? Besides the topic that we're going to talk about, but besides the topic, you know, just in general, what's on your mind today?
Well, I know, leading up to what we're going to talk about today, I know the BET Awards took place a few days ago, and, you know, also dealing with the world that we're in now, where everybody's doing, you know, their thing virtually,
Right.
you know, social, you know, have to be distance and everything, but you can see that the world just adjusted. Even with music and with entertainment, everything just automatically adjusted with the times. So we just see how the flow of things is just going overall in the world.
Gotcha.
What's on my mind today is that there was some defunding of the police department. That's just a joke. I don't think that, personally, I don't think that you should completely defund the police department.
I don't know if it's I think the word that they're using is not complete. I think when they just say defund, I think they're reallocating money and they're just taking it away from the traditional uses. So
Right.
I don't know if it's exactly a defunding, like, okay, we're just gonna take money. They're just reallocating it to different things. So I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if the term is what the term that they're using is really legitimate for what's going on. It's really like they want to put money into more youth programs or things for the community, as opposed to just, you know, giving the police more tactical gear or whatever the case may be. So.
But at the same, I mean, you have people that talk about defunding and then people that talk about abolishing. So
Exactly.
you have two thought process.
I don't know if we want to
processes out there.
abolish police, but you know.
I mean, they tried it in that enclave in Seattle. So
Exactly, which a lot of people are trying to shut down. To the topic, because this forum is mainly about hip hop, and we want to make sure that people understand that this is about hip hop. But I want to make sure that we stay relevant to what's actually going on. And the topic I want to discuss today was the hip hop's voice, or the voice of the industry during this George Floyd uprising, or the uprising period. And with that, I want to start off with a question, or maybe just an opinion from you guys. Just, who do you think has been the most or the strongest voice at this time in the industry concerning all of the situations that we've been having with racism, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, everything that has been happening? Who do you, in your mind, do you think has been the strongest voice that's already in the industry? I'm going to say my opinion for last, but, you know, who do you guys think that's really been in the forefront right now?
Personally, I think Killer Mike really said some strong words. Also heard T.I. But I believe Killer Mike said the most, he put the most intelligent perspective on it.
Right.
He gave the feeling that most people from our generation and I would say youth would, you know, the sentiments that we felt as a community as a whole. You know, he spoke of his father being a police officer,
right.
And, you know, he got cousins, you know, so it didn't come from a place of hatred
right.
towards the police, but it came from a place of frustration as to what we've been going through for all these years, because obviously, you know, his father's a police officer, he doesn't want anything.
Right.
Was a police officer, he didn't want anything to happen to his father and his cousins,
right.
you know, who seem to be police officers. You know, he doesn't, but it comes from a point of frustration. You know, like, I know people that I love and I care for that are police officers.
Exactly.
But, you know, I believe Killer Mike put the strongest.
And I'm going to get back to you because there's something that I saw on TV the other day, actually last night, But I'm not gonna jump ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Your opinion.
I mean, unfortunately, I would just say that, like, opinion. I would just say, unfortunately, there's not a singular voice. Not that you need to have a singular voice, but right now there's not a singular voice in terms of our culture overall that's really trying to lead the charge. You have people, making statements here and there. You have people that make songs, and amongst the various generations.
Right.
Little Baby had his song that he put out that encapsulated the moment. So that's for the current generation of hip hop artists, and then LL did a thing on his Instagram page, which everybody, of course, will go viral. So you have various voices, but you don't have in my opinion, a strong charge in terms of how we would recognize when we were the current generation of hip hop, where you had your BDP and your Public Enemy and people like that, your X-Clan. There's not that type of...
Yeah, where's BDP? Where's Chris at? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anything from him.
It's because it's not that they're not making statements, but you have to catch their statements on Instagram and Twitter.
Gotcha. Okay.
But because we're not the current generation of hip hop,
right?
That
I got you.
A lot of their messages aren't filtering down to what societies. So people are focusing on, going back to the BET Awards, where the Baby and Roddy Ricch did their remix for Rockstar, where they basically Black Lives Matter remix. Right. So the current generation of hip hop, that's they're looking for their people to say something. Right now.
So my opinion, I just have to concur with Ooze, Killer Mike. And I say Killer Mike because he was an activist before all of this stuff happened. Right. And he had the same messaging. And now it seems like because of all of the things that are happening, his message is kind of being heard better, is being understood a little bit better. I don't know. What I said was I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but there was Oprah did something, or it aired last night, 100 Black Fathers. 100 Black Fathers.
I glanced at that.
Right. And I had to watch my show. I had to watch Greenleaf, and then it came on after Greenleaf. But it was important that everybody spoke, and I got everything that everybody said, and it was touching. But when Killer Mike spoke, as a person that's in the hip hop, me and him are probably, he probably similar age to what we are. He came from a perspective, I think one of the main things I got from him was he talked about him not fearing the police or whatever because he came from an all black situation. So he doesn't have it in him to that interaction with white people. Not that he hasn't, but he came from a place where, he was proud to be black, family members are black, his community was black, so he had that understanding, but he translated something in particular that was important. He talked about how, regardless of whether the skin color of the police is black or white or whatever, they become agents or workers for the state. And what they do on behalf of the state. And now you have people operating for the sake of what the state wants and not actually what's right. So a lot of times when you see black people being caught up, black officers being caught up in different situations, it's because it's their mandate, not really what's in their heart. And what a good thing was, they did have an officer on, I think he was LAPD, very spiritual brother that was talking. And he talks about how he brings his faith to the job. And which is important because it allows him to be kind of balanced when it comes to him dealing with the people on the job, dealing with the public. Wow. People ask why he went in and took a knee, and he said that he had a conversation with God. God told him, if when you went to marry your wife, you took a knee. When you pray to me, you take a knee. So if you're doing the work of a servant, that's the type of work or position that you take. So it kind of made it seem like he had an understanding or epiphany about why he's doing what he's doing, and contradiction to a lot of the people that he works with. So I think Killer Mike, to me, is just taking the biggest stance. Or maybe he's not taking a stance. I don't want to say taking a stance because he's been doing this, right? It's not like something I'm all of a sudden standing up, whatever. He's been doing this. So I think it's a matter of now the rubber's hitting the road when it comes to him, where he's bringing a message, or he has brought a message already about certain things, and now it's something where he needs to be heard. I mean, he's been on Bill Maher's show, he's been on other shows, he's been on forums before, but now it's like, okay, we want to really hear what you have to say, because you've been a person that has been talking about this for quite a long time. And I want to segue into something else. I just hinted towards it, and I just said, where's Chris? You know, where's Chuck D? And I'm pretty sure Chuck D made his statements, because I think they came out with another song not too long ago.
Right.
But why that 90s revolutionary hip hop, right? That voice that existed, the X-Clans, the Public Enemies, the Brand Nubians, you know, why has, I mean, I have my opinion, but why has that voice dwindled so greatly? Why has the industry gone such in a skewed manner where everything is kind of the same, and those people who really brought those strong messages about Black pride, Black nationalism, you know, even Arrested Development, like, you know, we don't hear music like that as much anymore, you know, and it kind of keeps us off guard when it comes to these situations where nobody's talking about a lot of this stuff. When Chris talks about Black Cop, and, you know, even LL when he did a legal search, those things are very relevant to what's happening now, but the music that we get doesn't really speak to the situations that are happening in our lives. And those people who were able to talk about that, you know, they're not getting the play like they used to. So just your opinion on why we don't see that anymore, or why rappers are not rapping in that fashion anymore. You know, is it the industry? Is it the people? You know, is it the consumers? You know what I mean? The audience? You know, what is it?
So if we listen to radio, right? When you have radio have this thing called programming.
Right.
So throughout the years, when we were coming up, PE, Chris,
Right.
Rakim, Brand Nubians, this was the golden age of hip hop.
Right.
Like that came, these guys had their messages that the radio played. They were part of everyday programming for
Right.
hip hop. And you know, during those times, hip hop wasn't prevalent during daytime radio. We had to wait till the nighttime for the shows.
Right.
You know, weekends or whatever it might be. So these were the guys that were our influence. Video Music Box, we saw the new videos. So these guys were really revolutionary, and we were influenced by them, and they had a message. Right? As hip hop came along the 90s, you begin to see the quote unquote gangster rap. NWA, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. We began to be programmed to conform to this type of music.
Right.
And the industry began to push that type of music.
True. But one thing, like, a lot of that music wasn't played on the radio at that time.
Yeah, but you went through the puffy, you know, dancing with the suits on, with the flashy suits. It evolved to a certain point, to where then the music went to the South, right, and then it went to the Midwest, and it kind of stayed in the South for a long time, to the point where now New York rappers sound like summer rappers.
Exactly.
So that programming, right, that the radio stations and the industry pushed out there, silenced the voices of those political rappers. You had what was the name of the group? And I don't know how I'm forgetting them. Dead Press.
Exactly.
You had groups like that were really dope MCs.
Right.
That were really dope MCs, that Talib Kweli and Mos Def.
Right.
Like these guys were really thinkers. Right. And guys that could really talk, would be the voices for this era, but they were silenced because people wanted the trap music, and they wanted that kind of rhythm. Even I believe Jay said in one of his songs, he said, something to the effect like, he said he would love to rhyme like Common Sense.
Right.
He said lyrically he would be Talib Kweli, but that's not what the industry wants.
Right.
So I think the industry itself kind of silenced those voices. But that's my opinion.
Got you.
Yeah, because overall the industry started to streamline. You talk about the late 80s, you talk about into the 90s, there was versatility in the music to where we was listening,
right.
We had the opportunity to listen to everybody.
Exactly.
But now as time goes along, money was always part of any, it's always part of any business. But once hip hop sort of focused strictly on money,
Right.
then that was the route that the program started going into. So now you had the Bad Boy era. If you notice, the Bad Boy era really changed hip hop overall because now you talk about strictly money.
So are we really blaming Puffy for the downfall of hip hop? Or?
No, I wouldn't blame him.
The downfall, but the
change, right?
Yeah.
He's part of that transition because the Bad Boy era. That's why I don't want to just focus on him, but you had the whole Bad Boy era where it was focusing strictly on money. You had people talk about money before,
right.
But then now the talk is money. Jay-Z, money. Everybody's talking about money,
right.
And cars and jewelry, and that just became the pattern. So now, and not to just throw another organization in there, but I have to blame it also. But that was when the rise of Hot 97 came into play.
Right.
So now with the rise of Hot 97, and they're focusing on certain artists, and that's became a huge station in New York,
right.
Where stations around the country were following the program format of Hot 97.
Right.
So when you had that focus of just the money artists, then it wasn't that necessarily that certain artists were silenced. It's just that room wasn't given to them. And then there's another aspect that I forgot who brought this point up also, but now when we were listening to the radio in the 80s and 90s, DJs had their mix shows.
Right.
That's when we was able to hear the versatility. We heard different people.
Right.
But now DJs that have mix shows, they're given programs. They're told what to play.
Right.
So it's taken away from a DJ's ability to break artists, to push what they think that the audience needs to hear. And now the DJs are just playing what music is played throughout the day anyway, on their mix shows.
Right. So, Common Black America Again album. I caught the album. I thought the album was brilliant. He talked about a lot of social issues. But is there room for hip hop like that still? I mean, Common can do it because Common gets the check from acting, right? So if he goes and takes that route, that's cool, and it may not be a financially, I don't want to say expedient, but it's not like, okay, I'm gonna make this record and sell you a million copies, and you're gonna be banging my stuff in the clubs, but it's still a necessary record, right? It's necessary for people to get that information. It's necessary for people to know that, there's rappers who's still conscious, who still are out there. It's not to say that the rappers who rap about the things that they rap about are not conscious, right? Because it is a business, like you said. I believe it is a business. I do believe that people are taking that route. But at the same time, if a person wants to do that, take that route and talk about something conscious, shouldn't their record sell just as much, or how are we looking at rap now? Is everything about what's popping in the club? Is everything about sex, Damali, whatever the case may be? Is it all about that, or is there still an audience for people who want to listen to music that teaches them something, or uplift their spirit in a certain way, or gets them in a revolutionary mind state? Is there still room for that type of hip hop in this world? Because I believe that I'm a better person for having those rappers around or saying those things during my time. Even the brothers that were famous, they were still saying something positive, right? They were saying different things, but it gave you a sense of culture, a sense of positivity, a sense of self, and it kind of gave you direction. I mean, you got to think about how many people became 5% because of Rakim, or because of Kane. How many people joined the Nation of Islam because of PE? People went that route just because there was somebody representing the music are representing that aspect in the music, representing that aspect of the culture. So is there still room for that? You know, because I think we need it. Even though you have people, they're rapping about it now because of the situation and it's prevalent now. But can there be room for consistent art that's pro-black, that's pro-conscious?
Yeah, there's always going to be room for that. It's just that the artists that are making that type of music, they have to find the avenues to have the music played. Because if you're looking for mainstream radio to play it, and that's your main focus, and you're not looking at the other avenues that mainstream it or play it, then you may be wasting your time.
True.
But there's definitely room for that, for positivity. You know, music is a spiritual thing.
Right.
So when people hear music, it's going to touch them one way or the other. Like you say, because you grew up listening to certain artists, it may help you become the person that you are.
Right.
When you have, you know, teens today listening to the type of music that they're listening to today, it shapes them to be what they are, because once again, music is a spiritual thing.
Right.
So there's going to be room for different types of messages. It's just that there has to be an avenue to put those messages out. And what's lacking, you know, the versatility, the spirituality, like you mentioned, you know, the 5% movement was heavy in hip hop.
Right.
You know, the Nation of Islam movement was heavy in hip hop because artists took on to those things and brought those messages. It may not be up front like this is what you got to do,
right,
but they brought that righteousness. Righteous talk was always
some
in it.
artists just said it. You know, PE said a follower of Farrakhan, and he just said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just put it out there.
You understand?
Yeah, until you hit a man, like, you know. So he just telling you his position where he's at, and I got S1Ws who are like FOI anyway.
Right.
He just let it be known. But you have artists that did that. Question is, like, you know, we're talking about radio, but, you know, in this age, is radio really important now? It's like, because I listen to the radio in my car, but besides that, I got my playlists, I got my downloads.
So I think radio still plays a big part of the industry. Radio still, regardless of whether you might just listen to it during that time, people still listen to the radio for music. People still listen to Flex and DJs around the country, whoever that DJ is. You got to remember when we were young, we had time on our hands. We listened to, people still listen to the radio. I know now that with social media, that avenues are a little bit broader, right? But we have to get out of the mentality of that program mentality, right? Like somebody like Jay-Z is in a position now to where, and I hate to bring Jay into the picture because people seem to always jump on Jay-Z, but I thought the 444 album was an excellent album.
Right.
Because he gave you game on how to get financially well. He didn't go into the pro-black, the black fist in the air, but
I think he kind of did, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, the black. I don't think if he went all the way black fist in the air, but you know, he took the story of OJ. Right. He did a lot of things that I was like, okay, maturity. Then the verse he did with Meek Mill. Right. And I mean, he tore that verse. Yeah. You know, so I think someone like Jay, if he was to come out and be like, all right, I got Public Enemy on my record. Right. Because he's on that level now. Right. He's on that level where he can call shots. Right. You know, that will bring back that self-conscious. You got artists like J. Cole that are, you know, somewhat self-conscious. You got Kendrick they have a little understanding. You can see that their music is a little bit different. Right. Someone has to grab it by the neck and be like, I'm gonna bring it to the forefront and I'm gonna put it in the mainstream. So and then I think it will open up the door for, I think a lot of rappers are conscious and want to say conscious things, but the industry dictates, you know, they want to grab that bag. Everybody wants to make that $100,000 a show. Right. You know, so that's kind of dictates how they're going to go out there and put themselves out.
So speaking of Jay, I don't know if y'all heard the song. It's not new. It's been out for a couple of months now, but Jay Electronica and Jay-Z song. It's like a fire type.
Jay Electronica came out with a new album.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the verse.
It's very. If you see the video, the song actually starts off with Farrakhan. It's talking, and then Jay comes in, and then you know, Jay Electronica does his verse. Let me find the name of this song briefly.
And I heard about the song. I didn't hear the song, but when you think about when the buzz came out about the song, most of that buzz would be for people of our generation,
Right.
because we grew up listening to Jay-Z.
Ghost of Soldier Slim. That's the name of that's the title of the track, and it's really the whole video is Black Panther.
Right.
So, but do you think now? Because I know Jay-Z kind of sent the message out that, you know, his job was to be affluent, to make money,
Mm-hmm.
so that he can make change.
Right.
So do you think now, because he is a billionaire now, that more of his work will be this type of art, this type of revolutionary conversation, especially having a Jay Electronica?
Right. I mean, it depends on that's the path he wants to go, but when you think about mainstream, you know, listeners, he's sort of disconnected from. They know his name because his name is a business,
Right.
but teenagers, early 20s, they're disconnected from Jay-Z. They're not connected to Jay-Z. So we can have a conversation about Jay-Z,
Right.
and we'll all understand what we're saying about Jay-Z and his transition and the changes he's made and the things he talk about now. But a teenager, early 20s, they just know Jay-Z is a billionaire. He has title. They're not up in the catalog from '96. So they're not Jay-Z fans, so to speak.
Well, I don't know, because you said your son.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Jay, it's a lot of young kids.
There's a lot of people that like Jay.
My son got the whole catalog. And there's a lot of young kids out there that are Jay-Z fans. And Jay-Z is still relevant to them.
Right.
I'm not sure. There's certain artists that transcend times and era. There's certain artists that, and I'm saying it from a point of having a son that's a young man that's listened to Jay-Z, listens to Nas, he still listens. He listens to all.
Your son listen to Nas?
Listen to Nas.
No, I had to get done on the record.
No, but you listen to Jay-Z and Nas.
Yeah.
So usually a child.
But not really.
I'm not saying you pump it in the house like that, but
I mean, I have the
right.
CDs, I have, you know, stuff laying around. But what I'm saying is you can't underestimate a lot of the youth recognize what real hip hop is. You'd be surprised that they recognize but it's what they've been programmed to hear. What they've been programmed to hear is the drill that, you know, like Pop Smoke, and you know, Pop Smoke is rapping like a dude from Chicago.
Right.
And he's from Canarsie, Brooklyn, New York. You know, New York rappers don't necessarily rap that way.
Right.
Right? But he's gotta go in with, he had to go in, you know, rest in peace, but he had to fit in where everybody else is at so he could be heard. Right? But if that New York flow was still the thing, the rappers would have to get they pen game up to par.
But and that's the thing. We talk about mainstream versus what is out there. There's a lot of artists out there that rap New York. There's a lot of New York artists out there that rap like New York. It's just that they don't get the airplay on the radio. So their avenues is something different. So whether they're young, you got Black Moon and you have the whole Duck Down crew still making records.
Right.
But everybody don't know that.
Yeah, but people are not following them.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
We would know that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because we know who they are.
Right.
Right? So we would follow Black Moon and the Duck Down and the whole, you know, that whole crew. But as far as today, the kids are turned off as soon as they, just like some of us on our generation get turned off as soon as we hear their beats.
Right.
As soon as they hear a boom bap beat, they like, that's my father's music. Some of them are like that, you know what I mean? But some recognize real hip hop, you know what I mean? Some recognize real hip hop. So I just think it's maneuvering back, if they were to be programmed back into that, or certain mainstream artists took that kind of avenue, that they could come back to that sort of understanding of hip hop, you know? And like when you watch, I don't know if you want to mention it, but sometimes I watch Sway.
Right.
in the morning, right? I watch it, and he has this thing called 5 Fingers of Death, and like clockwork, the new artist can't do it because he's putting on 5 beats, and you gotta be able to freestyle. They can't do it. They be like, oh no, I'm gonna opt out. Let me go on my phone, and then they try to do that flow. But artists that come from our generation, or real artists that can spit, even younger artists that understand what real hip hop is, it's nothing to them.
Right.
Because they can find around and slow it down, and they can speed it up.
Right.
You know, like they really did their homework. So it's a bunch of stuff. There's so much hip hop out there that, you know, it's for 2 words. But I still go back to the industry. I go back to the programming. If the radio stations were to begin to play conscious hip hop, you will see that the generation will come back to more of a conscious type of thing. And you know you will become successful by it. As long as you want to keep listening to Megan Thee Stallion and everybody else that comes with it.
Like I said, somebody made the point, you gotta allow even radio DJs the versatility to play what they want to play. And then
But I think somebody like Flex has the versatility. Who is still on the radio, I believe. He has the versatility to play, but I know it's probably, you know, a lot of stuff.
But behind the scene, they don't have the flexibility to do what they were doing back in the day.
So this message goes out to all the hip hop, the rappers, the artists that want to have this conversation, that want to start bringing back some revolutionary black hip hop. Get your pen game up. Start writing something for the people. That's just a message to y'all. Y'all gotta bring that message. Y'all gotta bring the message back because he needs to start bringing our babies back to the understanding of, you know, what we grew up with. So let's get back to that. So excellent points. Everybody's making excellent points. I do want to segue into, this is not exactly hip hop, but he is a person that is definitely of our generation. Dave Chappelle, 846. Did you guys get a chance to check
I didn't see it.
You got a chance to check it out. So, in brief, it was a short,
about 26 minutes.
26-minute stage segment that he did. But it was more, in my opinion, it was more of a statement. Just in general, because he's a funny guy, you're going to get laughs out of what he said. But it was more about his opinion on the impact of what is actually happening and how it affected him. And I'm just gonna say this. I'm kind of glad he said everything he said, whether people agree with it or not, because he is a person that gives an honest opinion, right? Regardless, whether you agree with him or not, he gives his honest opinion about a circumstance, and I think he made it clear, as I said, whether you agree with him or not, that you have to begin to understand how black people feel when they see stuff like this. You've got to understand what we go through and the trauma that comes back inside our minds every time, because we're dealing with our personal trauma. And then when we see it on TV, you know, a brother dying that didn't have to die because somebody's knee was on his neck, we have a whole bunch of trauma that just relived. And then, you know, they say trauma is something that becomes part of your DNA, it's generational, right? So we have all of us being men of black African descent, you want to call it that went through slavery, our parents went through slavery in one way, shape, or form. Whether you're from Panama, Grenada, Guyana, America, whatever the case may be, our parents, our foreparents, have dealt with this thing in some way, shape, or form, and it's a part of us, right? We see it, we deal with it. Just how do you think the new generation processes the stuff he actually said? Like, you know, because you have people like, because you got the youth, are the main ones that are out there right now protesting. How do you think they process what he said? And even in his speech, he gave them a big shout out and support for them going out and doing what they're doing. But just in your humble opinion, how do you think that you process a lot of what he said? But since you didn't see it, but, you know, you can go, but, you know.
I think that what he said was important. was pertinent and needed to be said. You know, he spoke of an experience of a police officer that pulled him over.
Exactly.
Right? And you know, he was going through what we go through as black men.
Right.
Showing your hands, I'm reaching in, you know, doing this, doing that.
Right.
Right? And then the police officer said, I know who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so almost like, yeah, we know which one of y'all Negroes are famous. We know you famous Negroes. Michael Jordan is not like and do the right thing. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. He's not a mullion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's Michael Jordan.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, Dave, I know who you are, but then that same police officer runs into a Walmart
Shoots a black man, yeah.
and shoots a black man that someone called the police on when Walmart, I believe it was Walmart or one of those stores,
Right.
and he had a BB gun. He was
Right.
buying a BB gun rifle.
Right.
And without hesitation, he shoots him
Right.
because we become the threat. So I think that absolutely the youth are tuned into Dave Chappelle.
Right.
You know, that Netflix special, which was put out in June, early June, or the middle of June, already has almost 30 million views.
Right.
So that's not just adults watching it.
Gotta be you.
It has to be the youth.
Right.
And they're watching it over and over. Dave Chappelle is the Eddie Murphy, and I don't even want to say Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy wasn't conscious.
You got more like a Paul Mooney.
Huh?
Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney,
right.
He's more like but at a higher level.
Right.
Right.
Paul Mooney didn't get to the level. You can see Dave Chappelle is a combination of Paul Mooney,
Right.
George Carlin, right? George Carlin, white more than anything, but he's
very conscious.
very conscious. So you can see he's a combination of all those and a little bit of Eddie
Right.
because he has his little, you know, but he is a combination of all of them, Richard Pryor, and he just makes you think.
Right.
And the youth are tuned into Dave Chappelle. That's why Netflix numbers go through the roof. It's not just us
Right.
watching it. It's some white folks, but there's a lot of our youth that's tuned in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I believe that he speaks to their minds, and if they were to listen a little bit more, right, that he could probably set them in a. He doesn't try to be a savior, but he's very intelligent. You can see
Right.
the way he explains things that he brings an understanding to it. Like when he went in his last special, he talks about that LGBTQ.
Right.
It's what a lot of us think,
Right.
but a lot of people wouldn't say it
Right.
because they are afraid of the repercussions.
Right.
But it's what a lot of us think, you know, and
True.
he just finds an intelligent way to put things. So do I believe that the youth is locked into Dave Chappelle? Absolutely. You don't get almost 30 million views just by adults.
Definitely. But this is the segue to a question that both of you can answer. He hit on the point. Dave Chappelle in the show stated that, you know, like, do I get a pass because I'm Dave Chappelle? And is there something in the mind state of people that believe that, you know, our celebrities are separate from us? Our celebrities are on another level or not included in the masses, right? Because even with the situation, Michael Jordan spoke out, and, you know, I have a newfound love for Michael Jordan because I see
He spoke out.
he
Yeah.
spoke out. He spoke out.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he spoke out, and
What did he say?
he talked
Mike?
about Mike talked about, you know, the tragedy of what happened and
Right.
how it's unfair. And, you know, he it's a letter that he actually put out, a statement that he made on Twitter, I think.
Okay.
But and it's for me, it was like, okay, him claiming that he's not an activist. He already said that I'm not an activist. That's not his forte. He may believe in causes, but he's not really the spokesperson and stuff like that. For him to go out and say what he said, okay, I see you getting there because, you know, the younger athletes are kind of beating you by mile. They're beating the whole generation of people by mile. The only person that that I believe that this new generation is not beating out, and the old generation is men like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the late great Muhammad Ali, may rest in peace. But people like that who, because I know Magic is very in the community, and he's being very vocal.
But Magic does it more with business
and stuff like that.
Hiring black people and stuff like that.
But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has always been more of an activist, vocal activist on issues, and he'll do a sit-in and stuff like that.
That cost Kareem a lot of his endorsements.
Yeah, but Kareem doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
You know what I mean? And his thing was he looked at it as morals over money, because if you see what the situation is, and and it's not a race thing with him at all. It's just an injustice thing. It's a humanity thing. So, do you think that it's an issue, or there's a skewed vision of a lot of people who are not of color, who look at those people who are famous? I'll gravitate to you, Dave Chappelle. I'll let you go, or you get this, as opposed to the average guy that's walking down the street, who may be college educated, may have not had an interaction with the police in his life, but he lives in East New York. You know what I mean? That's where he lives. That's where his house is, or he lives in Queens somewhere, but because that's just a circumstance. But do you think that there's a skew? Not do you think, because obviously there is. I'm not even going to ask that question. Right. But what do you think is the reason? Is it a psychological issue?
Absolutely.
Where people think that, okay, because I think black people have that same issue too. I don't think that's just confined to white people, but you look at certain individuals as, oh, they are less than.
They're different.
They are lower than. But the celebrity, I like that guy, he makes me laugh, or he's funny, he can be my pal because of his celebrity, and is it that we become so messed up as a race of people, as a human race, that we don't clearly understand that our humanity should be first and not a person's celebrity? Because besides the money they have, the fact that you see them on TV, they're a human being at the end of the day. That's why I kind of I love the Jordan documentary, because it got to show that he is not the sweet guy that you all thought he was. That he got mad and punched people in the face, and that people don't like him. And you may look at a person and say, well, man, why would you want to see somebody because it shows that he's a human, right? It breaks the facade that the media puts on people, and that, endorsements and all that stuff try to bring, they try to make people godlike. And when you really break it down, this guy's a man that maybe he's hyper competitive and he gambles a lot. He's human, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't the best husband to his wife or whatever, but he was a human being. And it gets to show you that, but all the stuff that you see that you love about him is the fact that he's just a guy on the court playing ball, but he's more than that. You know what I mean? He goes home and he has issues. He lost his father, in a horrendous way, in a horrific way. And he had to pull himself together for that. But that he's human, you know what I mean? And that he gets upset. Now I like the fact that he don't like Isaiah. I like that fact. Not that I like brothers not getting along, but the fact that, you did something that hurt me, you know what I mean? And I feel a way about it, and regardless of what, because there's people that think that, okay, I'm going to slight you today, and it doesn't affect, it affects people. Things that you do affect people. And he shows that he is very volatile, and that he's very emotional, and this is the reason probably that he is the GOAT, that he is a person that can win these championships, because he went out there, he was relentless, he was ruthless with his teammates. So you imagine how he was going to be with the opposing team. But it shows people that, there's a side to an individual that's human, that's realistic, because we all got our stuff with us, we all got our issues, and we all need to have that balance. But I just feel like, that newfound love for Jordan in my life, because, it's, a lot of the stuff that you hear and you just think, but it's a newfound love. I get him. I get it now. You can see, and the documentary is still a documentary. It's still it's still forged, in my opinion, in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? It's still, but it gave a reality that certain people that were able to express their opinions about certain situations afterwards, you know, to show that, hey, we may love Michael Jordan like that, or people may love Michael Jordan like that, but the world don't love Michael Jordan that way. He hurt people, or people still got problems with Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? So it gives a reality, and, you know, do people begin to understand that these people are human beings? You know, when they see Prince, you know, I just found out Prince was a advocate, a person that he gave his money to certain programs in the city community, like, you know, and I know he was outspoken, and I know he was very conscious about a lot of things that were going on. You know, that's why a lot of people have conspiracies behind his death, but, you know, he was very astute about situations that were happening. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't like a shy black man. They try to portray him like one of those people, but he was very, you know, vocal about his blackness and the importance of being blackness and the whitewashing of black music. That's one thing that he talked about. So just your opinions about that. Do you think that, like, you know, there's something wrong with the mindset of people or how they view these celebrities out there? Because, you know, even with the topic that I had today, you know, I do get upset at the fact that we need a celebrity opinion to validate us. When black people have situations, why are we waiting for the athlete, this person? It is good that they do it. It's good that now there's people saying, forget about all of that stuff. I'm gonna use my platform for change. I'm gonna use my platform to have an impact. But, you know, why do we live in a society where we need that? And why don't we have enough black leaders out there, you know, that are vocal? Because even in Malcolm's time and Martin's time, they were the two prominent black leaders, but you had other black leaders out there, you know, that were able to have opinions. And, you know, are we really not reduced to Al Sharpton, but is that the only person that we have now? Is there a need for more black leadership and less black celebrity? You know, do we need to have more people who this is their job? You know, Sharpton's job as a minister and as a activist, that's what he does 24/7. He has news shows, he gives his opinion, you know, but do we need to see more of that? Do we need more Dr. Umar Johnsons? Do we need more people like that so that, you know, there's more voices that's their focus? Do we need more killer mics, you know, basically?
I think, going back to your original point, when and then I'll get back to if we need more leaders during this time. Going back to your original point, there is a mindset of when you recognize a black celebrity, there is a different mindset with these police officers,
right?
Because it's like, it's almost like this person brings them joy, right? Like we go back to do the right thing.
Right.
Who was the guy in the pizza shop? The son.
That was Vinny
and
Pito, or one of them. I forgot what it was.
Like, he said, no, he's Michael Jordan.
Pito,
yeah, he's like, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, he can't see
right.
that Michael Jordan is black.
Right.
You know, but you could call black people who we are, but in turn, what you're saying is Michael Jordan is the same race of the people, but no, Michael Jordan is separate.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a psychological thing.
Right.
Because it would happen with somebody that's a KKK member.
Right.
If they're watching, I mean, they like sports just like anybody else.
Right.
They watch events. And if their team is winning, there's a bunch of black dudes on it, they'll love that dude.
Yeah, because I wonder about the KKK. What did y'all do? Because
they love them teams just like they love them teams.
I just watch hockey all day. What is it? You know what I mean? Like,
they love them teams.
Depending on how deep they want to get into it, but they'll watch sports.
Yeah, you watch. I mean, you could get a black person that hates white people.
Right.
And if he likes sports, and the athlete on his team is a bad white boy, he goes, that's a bad white boy.
Yeah.
He gonna say that's a band of white boy.
Yeah.
That's how he gonna say it, because it's psychological. So because we're the ones being oppressed, and they're the ones doing the oppressing most of the times, it works in that way to where it's psychological. Oh, he gets a pass because he's so-and-so. You know what I'm saying? I believe that it works that way. Right. I think the human mind works that way. Right. He gets a pass because he's so-and-so. Hey, next time slow down, don't worry, blah, blah, blah. If the cop really wants to be a a-hole, right, he could write you up and take it. But most of the time, those celebrities, they get a pass. And then getting back to the point of black leadership, Al Sharpton, Minister Louis Farrakhan, I respect them both. I might not always agree with the ideology. Right. People look at Al Sharpton, they frown at him, but I always say, any man who gets wounded or dies in the cause is a man that you have to be respectful, because he's doing more than what you're doing, exactly, which is nothing. Right. So you can say Al Sharpton is going out there and looking for limelight or whatever, but whenever something happens, he's dead. Right. He's dead. Right. So you have to at least recognize that. Right. At some point, it stopped being about the limelight, right, and this is really in his heart. Right. That's what I believe about Al. Right. Call him what you want to call him, but he's a limelight hog, he's a snitch, whatever you want to say about Al. I know Al went, what was it, to Bensonhurst or to Howard Beach and got stabbed. Yeah. That was back in the days, because he went out there protesting. So, do we need more black leadership? Absolutely. Right. We need more people to come out. We need people like Killer Mike. Right. You know, we need people. I don't know where Dr. Umar Johnson is at, but you need people like that with strong voices, right, that people would listen to, right, that makes sense. Right. You know, it can't be the radio host. Right. It has to be somebody that this is their job and I beat this pavement. Right. I mean, even back in the days, you had sisters like Sister Soldier. Right. You know what I mean? That were just part of hip hop, prominent, and had a voice. You need that leadership. You can't be afraid of losing your bag. You have to be about it. Right. And you have to go all the way. Like Killer Mike, he's all the way in. Right. It seems like T.I. is starting to go that way. Right. You know what I mean? So we need more of that, and that will definitely, we will definitely have. So I'm waiting for Colin Kaepernick. Right. I don't know if he's been silenced by the NFL, if he says something, maybe they'll take that money.
He's actually signed with some people, or people are.
Yeah, they're going to bring him in, but my point is, a lot of this was sparked because of Colin. Right. And he, exactly what he said, and the irony is he was taking a knee, and George Floyd died with a knee on his neck. Right. You know what I mean? So, when we look at those things, you know, people like him, he sacrificed his career for the actual cause in the movement. Right. Right? So we need to hear from people like that. We need to hear more activism. You know. I mean, I see the dude on CNN, Don Lemon. Right. He's going all, you know what I mean? There's people that are trying to talk, you know, and trying to make points. But we need those prominent voices, like you said, when you said Jordan. Right. That's a prominent voice. Right. Where's Oprah?
Oprah did the thing. Like, I think Oprah's strategy is always to do something where her audience, she did it on her own network.
Her own network,
and she gathered. It was a beautiful segment that she did. A lot of the people, celebrities, a lot of them weren't. Some people was everyday guys.
So but I think people are looking for more so get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Go to the rally.
Yeah.
Show your face. Yeah. Be there, be in the ground, be, you know, with your boots on, strapped on. So that people be like, that's Oprah in the middle of the rally and she's gonna speak. Right. That I think more than in your network, everybody's not watching on network. You told me, but the only reason I knew about it because my mother was looking at it, I went past the room. And I glanced at it and I'm like, oh, Oprah's doing something with a bunch of black people. I seen Tyler Perry. Yeah. I seen a bunch of other people. So,
yeah, because everybody has their method of doing things. Right. So we're gonna always need leadership and messages out there. It's just that we have to figure out where to get the messages. So we live in a world now where it's flooded on social media. Social media is saturated.
Right.
So you have a lot of voices out there. Islam is like a big voice out there.
Media, yeah.
Right. You know, he's not going to get the platform on TV or radio or something like that. So he uses his own platform. Right. I'm saying, but he's using his own. But if you go through social media, Facebook, YouTube, there's a lot of activists out there with Islam. He's very big out there. So and he's speaking to the youth. So you know, the youth know to get their information from social media. There's a lot of people on social media giving that information to the youth, is whether or not the youth are actually going to take onto that message or not. So, you know, Dr. Umar, that's what he's using. He's using social media to put his messages out there. He's out there a lot. He's out there a lot. Right. We're not, you know, our generation is not. We're on that bridge between fully all social media and then just TV, radio.
Right.
So we don't get to hear everything, but the youth get a lot of stuff. Like, you know, I just threw out, there's a lot of other people besides Mr. Islam, but, you know, he's just one of the prominent names out there in terms of activism that people latch onto because, you know, and his videos always go viral and he always has a message.
Right.
So the leadership is out there. We definitely need more. It just strategically where they're going to be placed in order for their messages to be heard by everybody, not just one segment of the community, but everybody. You mentioned Oprah, that message was TV. So you like you saying, she should get her message on social media. Vice versa, like the Rizal Islam, like, but you're saying, you know, he's getting to that level to where he can get his messages on a broader scale, so to speak. So it's just that we live in a social media world, and going back to the original discussion, you know, being about social media, that's where a lot of information, that's where a lot of music, that's where things are just coming from. So we just have to utilize that. Everybody, when I say we, I'm talking everybody just has to utilize social media to the best of their ability in order to push it. But at the same time, social media is saturated, so it's about finding your niche, and in order to get your word out there.
Like there's supposed to be a boycott on July 7th. Supposed to be everybody stay out of the stores or whatever. You know, I believe it was July 7th that but that's not being pushed enough. Or sometimes Facebook sees certain things and they take it down.
Exactly.
You know, they stop certain movements. You feel what I'm saying? So those are the things that we need to follow up. You know, pen and paper, pamphlets and flyers still work.
I don't know if it's going to do the same justice in the pandemic, but when we get back, that's definitely something that we do. So we can be here all day. Definitely got to wrap up. Great first show. Mm-hmm. So Ben, number one, where can they find you, and what else do you have going on that you want to mention?
Okay, so for me, I'm on various social media platforms, Benyamin BMB, BENYAMIN BMB. Once again, various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know, in terms of, you know, entertainment-wise, I do a weekly radio show called The Gallery. So you can, you know, find that show on social media as well. So you just plug in The Gallery, DAGALLERY. You can find that anywhere on social, well, the popular social media outlets. And then also started this program every Saturday night, the online parties. You know, we're in a world where people can't go to clubs and things like that. So for everybody that's home, we have a homebodies party on Zoom. So it was an idea I had even before this even happened, because I'm a homebody myself. But it just, you know, worked in line, and then, you know, Uziel is part of it, and, you know, eventually other DJs are gonna just jump in on it, and you know, once again, just so it's a Saturday night thing. So basically, that's what, you know, what's going on between the radio show and just doing the Saturday night parties on Zoom right now.
Ooze, what you got going on? Where can they find you?
Well, with me, everything is Uziel Lewey, UZZIEL, LEWI, Uziel Lewey. You can find me on YouTube, like you said, the Homebodies. Facebook is Uziel Lewey. I don't have an Instagram yet. I should work on getting that. But
Beat Universe Instagram.
Beat Universe, yeah, you could reach me at Beat Universe Instagram. Go out and subscribe to the Beat Universe on YouTube
channel.
Like and follow the Instagram Beat Universe. So I'm an admin there. So if you want to reach out to me there, I could be reached on Beat Universe, Instagram, and on Facebook, Uziel Lewey. and various other things. You know, videographer, if you need photography, all that stuff, I'm into all that stuff. Studio, whatever it is. I'm a jack of all trade master.
Gotcha. So, find me Facebook, Naphtali David. That's NAPHTALIDAVID. First name, last name on Facebook. Instagram is Naphtali76, I believe. I'm not even sure. Naphtali76 on Instagram. Also Beating Verse. Also, you can like us on the Beating Verse Facebook page or the Facebook group. And please like the channel. We're going to have more things coming to you. Running out of time, so we didn't get a chance to do a business segment. Definitely because we got entrepreneurs that we know, black businesses that we definitely want to promote to you guys. So every time we do a show, we want to make sure that we highlight a business or even have them in the studio with us to talk about what they're doing, because, you know, we're very big on making sure that, you know, businesses out there get supported the way they need to. So that's it for us. First segment, first one down, out the way. Beating Verse, real life, real talk, real hip hop. Peace.
Peace.